Hey everyone, I'm Justin from Core Performance, and today we are coming to you from the National Infantry Museum outside of Fort Benning, Georgia. We are joined today by an incredibly awesome guest and our friend, Felix from Redbeard Tactical. And Felix and I just wrapped up a 2-day carbine course down at the Arena Training Facility in Blakely with Precorps and Counting Coup Tactical. But today we're actually here to talk about something that's incredibly important and often overlooked, which is soldier hydration. But what a lot of you are probably wondering right now is, well, Justin, why did you guys bring in an expert from the German army when you guys are at Fort Benning here in America? And that's actually something that Felix and I have been talking about quite a bit, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. So Felix, you and I have had some conversations about why soldier hydration is relevant, and we have also had a lot of conversations about why you and I are doing this video together, right? Why are we having somebody from the German military come in? And you've got some great thoughts about that, and that kind of relate to the defense of a nation, responsibilities of citizens, et cetera, and some other models that we've seen not only historically, but also that are in current use today.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Of course. So generally, it's not about where I come from, what I do. It's mostly about the idea of pushing the responsible citizen as a line of defense, because what we did with Redbeard Tactical and what we still are doing is trying to get civilians into actual military education, stuff that has been handled pretty dry before, and we try to basically spice it up a bit, make it flashy, but still make it useful. And a lot of people are hearing about certain stuff the first time when we are talking about it. It's basic. It's nothing fancy. I'm not the only one owning such skills or dual editors. It's basics, and that's what we are covering, because we see with what happens currently in Europe a responsibility for all Europeans, all Americans, to protect their country.
Mm-hmm. And this is particularly relevant for Germany, obviously, given current contemporary geopolitical events. Absolutely.
I mean, we have there's a slight wake up in this direction. I mean, we have a war going on our eastern border, or not on the eastern border, but several hundred kilometers beyond the eastern border. It's just one country between us and Ukraine. And what if the Russians would have advanced further or would do something else?
Right.
We don't have the mobilized or the highly mobilized forces we had in Cold War,
Right.
The huge numbers of forces. We all have professional armies, even the US army is not this big construct. It's still very powerful. But what's especially interesting, all our powerful armies, every nation, every Western nation has a powerful army, but we have all in common that we have had severe issues with fighting farmers in Afghanistan and in Iraq. And that's the thing, why don't we use this opportunity or this attribute of the war among the people, or the fight among the people and the fighting power of the people in general? Why don't we use it as an additional branch, as an additional weapon system?
As part of the national defense calculus.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that seems particularly relevant. And there's other countries that have already used this model, right? Ukraine obviously mobilized it kind of at the last minute, but Switzerland has had this model in place for decades.
Yeah, it is in place for decades. It's a mandatory service system where people get out of the mandatory service and keep their gun, and can train and do stuff like that. The Finnish army has a pretty similar concept. It's a concept of total defense, everyone is resisting to the invaders. So yeah, the next thing is I personally think that we don't need a government forcing us to do that.
This is our responsibility.
This is our responsibility, exactly.
Okay, so when we're talking about the responsibility of citizens to be prepared to defend their nation, there's a lot of components to that, right? Marksmanship, fitness, but one that you feel particularly strongly about, I mean, one that you actually messaged me about, right? Because this is what a big deal you think it is. And you're concerned that it's such an afterthought, right? Which is soldier hydration.
Soldier hydration, yes.
And so can you tell us what about your professional experiences has informed you feeling so strongly about this? And why did you want to talk about it today?
So generally, I personally have like no experience like in conventional warfare, fighting another big army. I've only deployed to GWOT, but hydration is hydration. That's the point. And I think in a conventional conflict, it will play an even more important role as stuff can go for prolonged times. We don't have like this huge motherships driving beneath us during patrols like MRAPs or strikers or similar stuff.
To carry a lot of weight.
Yeah. Carry a lot of water. You can get water whenever you want. And I've experienced this during GWOT, during deployments, like in a situation where we had to like patrol a long distance. And it's not like the Army did a pretty good study on it. Like the US Army did it with NATIC, and they said like, okay, the daily amount required in temperate weather is 6 liters of water. Mm-hmm. And I can confirm this. It's not like you die when you're living from 2 canteens. It has been done like in Vietnam in World War II. Soldiers had one canteen, 2 canteens, and they had been pretty fine. Like, it's a performance aspect. That's the first thing we have to consider. It's not like, you run out of water, you drop that. But as we all have, like during the carbine class, we just took like, we had to hydrate all the time. Yeah, we had to hydrate, we had to drink water. And it's just a performance booster.
And we were in the prone most of the time.
Yeah, we had been in the prone, and it's a performance booster because you get like all the heat. Your body has to work. Why should you let your body do all the work by sweating when you can just get the same cooling effect from the outside? And that's where I see like your IcePlate system. It's like you're fighting an issue we have on two fronts. We need water, otherwise we would die for obvious reasons. And on the other hand, we need this cooling because we will carry a lot of stuff. We will move fast and we will need this performance booster. We need it for our brains. It's not only about running or stuff like that. It can be just for shooting, for example. You need to process a lot of information when you're shooting. You need to process a lot of information when you're planning missions or doing hasty tactics in the field. It's a lot of challenge for your brain. And what your brain needs is sugar and an optimum hydration and cooling, like a computer.
And I'm glad that you brought up cooling, because one aspect where we see our audience and our customers getting sometimes a little bit confused about how IcePlate is designed and how it's used is it's not designed to last the whole mission. It's designed to be a booster rocket, right, to put you into orbit with a full tank of gas, so that you are several hours into your mission timeline at 100% energy, as opposed to being degraded maybe down to 80 or 70% or something like that. So yeah, what you're talking about is actually something that's been foundational to the design of IcePlate and its invention for the better part of 6 years now. When you talk about performance, you have some experience with watching performance degradation, due to lack of hydration.
I've witnessed it firsthand several times. Like I've seen it in Afghanistan when we had been hunting a supposed IED trigger man, and our platoon was moving, my squad was moving, and most of us just had like a bottle of water. I did throw a lot more of water in my backpack, and we really just drank lots of water while we have been moving fast. And a lot of guys didn't have this amount of water, and they did like go through the whole dehydration cycle in like half an hour. They just got there and they got pale. I asked them, okay, or I asked this individual, okay, are you fine? Yes. He said he's fine, and he got paler and paler, and at some point he dropped, but he wasn't thirsty anymore, which is a serious sign. Like you are thirsty.
It's too late.
Yeah, it's too late. Like he dropped, I gave him something to drink, he was okay, we could continue, but he degraded in performance. He dropped back, and that's something, it's an extreme example, but that's something we don't want, even the slightest drop in performance. Like maybe...
Because you're depending on him as a team.
Yes, yes, of course. And like shooting, even if you lose like 5% of your processing capability, you are processing a lot of stuff.
Right. And your SA is critical to not only your survival, but the survival of your team.
Yeah.
So given how important hydration is, NATIC has studied it. We know the US military has studied it in great depth. Obviously, they gave us a lot of that research to create the IcePlate. But you have mentioned to me on multiple occasions that despite all this knowledge, hydration still is often an afterthought for soldiers.
It is.
Why is that?
It is, absolutely, because it's just water. Because it's, even like for our page, it's all about education. It's about letting people reflect why they carry it. Like water is there to drink when you are thirsty. Like this is the most thing people can get out of water. It's the most popular conception of water. You're thirsty, drink water. Okay, we all get this concept, but it's more. It's a performance booster. If you dehydrate, your performance will drop, and that's the important thing. And for me, with the IcePlate, it was like we have this slight performance boost. I was like a bit skeptical how well it works, and if I always need a freezer. I didn't really freeze it a lot in the last time. But even just having, during a mild summer, this plate with cold water in the back, it's just super pleasant, and it works.
And you've also used it in the wintertime.
Yeah, I've also used it in the wintertime because it's close to the body, it won't freeze. And for me, the first thing actually that got me interested into IcePlate was the fact that the Camelbak is popping and that the Canteen is taking up large amounts of my kit. So I've got this little solution I've always been looking for. Like, I wanted this IcePlate system. It's close to the body. It's a reshaped Canteen. It's nothing else. It's not a bladder that pops open. And this is a huge game changer. When you integrate it in the ruck or into your body armor, it just works fine, and it doesn't collapse or splashes like a bladder would do. That's something most people don't even consider. Like, many people are going into hiking and rucking right now because we all know that RECCE is the new stuff.
It's the new CQB.
It's the new CQB, and if you're running with 10 kilos or 15 kilos and doing a little bushcrafting in the woods, your bladder will most likely be fine. But if you're running with additional ammo, observation equipment and stuff like this, you're quickly getting like to 50 kilos, and it's like your bladder will get squashed at some point, and you're losing 1 liter of water. And if you're carrying like 6 liters, it's basically like 1/6 of your water supply getting away right now. And maybe in winter, even your clothing getting wet, your spare clothing getting wet, whatever you have, and it can be a big issue, and it is a big issue.
Now, a lot of people might be asking, well, it sounds like it's really important for soldiers, but as a regular citizen, do I need to care about this?
Yes, because you also need to care for gravity. So you need to care for hydration.
Yeah.
If you want to go into harm's way, the same basic rules as for every human being apply to a citizen, as for every soldier apply to a citizen. You need water. There are differences in tactics that gets applied. You can't just stage a frontal attack against a conventional force. Like,
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
They have vehicles with thermals, 30mm cannons, stuff like that, and stuff we can defeat for obvious reasons. But you will be running like a long-lasting battle of attrition. You will go where others can't go, where modern armies can't go because of their focus on mobility. I mean, like, most armies, especially on the side of our opponents, are like 100% mechanized, and they're used to fight with their vehicles. So there are places where they can go, and those are the places where you should go. Like every successful insurgency in history has been either done in the jungle, in the mountains, or in the city. So it's all about getting this
environments that level the playing field.
Exactly. They even the odds.
Yeah. So therefore, you need to make sure that you have accounted for every other variable, so you don't give the enemy another opening or an opportunity to exploit against you.
Exactly. You're avoiding their strength, which is being able to fight pretty good. They're good in fighting. It's avoiding this decisive fight, and it's going into like hitting them in a situation which stacks the tactical odds for you. And as soon as those odds shift back, you will retreat.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So now that we have talked about the philosophy behind why this is so important, along with some historical data points, in the next segment, that we hope you guys will join us for. We're going to go over exact systems, and then in our third video installment, we're going to go over the next night vision. So stay tuned for the next episodes to see what that is. We'll catch you guys then. Stay frosty.
Thanks, guys.